Merry Christmas, everyone. This is Griever back here, bringing you guys a very unexpected Christmas Eve review for Behind the Bar. Of course, chapter 294 dropped anyway. Everyone thought that this was the end of the year for Taizai with 293, but instead we did get a 294. That begs the question, what else may we potentially get next week? Could in the next few days, could we get actually some Dr. Stones, My Hero, even a One Piece chapter unexpectedly? I have no idea, but that being said, we do know that this Christmas Eve we got an early Christmas gift in the form of chapter 294 of 7 Deadly Sins. That being said, everyone, of course, once again, a shorter review, a little less polished because, of course, it is Christmas Eve. Got stuff to do, as everybody else does. Now, before we get into my thoughts on the chapter, we did manage to get a Boar's Hat podcast done. Link will be in the description down below. A lot of great cats in that. Please go check it out. I was only able to stay for about half of it. We got about halfway through the chapter. So here's going to be my thoughts on the later half as well for everyone in the podcast and everyone who watches that, if you wanted my opinion. And, well, I just wasn't able to do it. People at the door, that kind of stuff. So that being said, let's just jump into this because the chapter itself, with power creep problems aside, power scaling being thrown out the window at this point, which is a problem I do have with the chapter. This chapter was a great chapter for the fact that it is not wasting time. We are jumping from, okay, here's Mail and Gother, and here's some stuff with them. Okay, here's Deanne and King, here's stuff happening with them. Okay, let's jump over to the fight with Escanor, Merlin, and the original demon. Like stuff is happening. We aren't just sticking to they fight or here's a conversation. No. We are just boom, boom, boom. Here's what's happening with everybody. I like that. I like the heavy pacing, the boom, boom, boom. It's great. Now, the beginning part is, of course, with Gother, Mail, and then eventually Elizabeth. And what's happening here is that Mail is using some crazy goddess technique, some incantation of revival or incantation of reincarnation, invitation of something, whatever. Doesn't matter what it's called. Basically what he's doing is something similar to what the Soul Reapers did in a way where they, I forget what it's called, it begins with an S, like Saiku or something like that. It's where they hit them with the hilt of the sword, the souls, and they pass on peacefully to the Soul Society. Sort of, they're the bridge for souls. Now, in this case, though, it's done a little different. They are going to reincarnate in some way. And I have a problem with this because it's stated that Mail says that he used the spell to give the souls a second chance. Now, he did this for Derriere and Oslo. Now, as far as Derriere goes, when Mail states that perhaps, and it depends on the translation once again, but I'm going off of what I believe the closer resembling the official one, is that Mail believes that he might get in trouble, the hammer's going to fall sort of idea. He might be punished in some way for reviving them. I believe he's referring for not reviving them, but giving their souls the ability to reincarnate with their memories intact. That's the big thing that we're going to get into, with their memories intact. Now, we know reincarnation is a big theme in this series. It's a huge theme. It's probably one of the core things that separates Taizai from all other shonen currently running, is that reincarnation is their big thing. Characters never seem to truly die. We have souls, and we have reincarnation, and we have past stories. We always have them coming back in a different form. So, what I would bring up here is the fact that he's going to be punished because, of course, this is a technique of the Goddess Clan, and he's using it on a demon. We can surmise from this that he likely didn't do this before, and this might tax him. Maybe he can only do so many at a time. There was a lot of stuff brought up in the Boar's Hat podcast, as I said previously, so go check that out, guys. But from my perspective, the only reason he would be punished for using this technique, which he wouldn't know how to do it if he'd get punished for using it, I would say it's because he's using it on a demon. That would be my reasoning. And the problem I have with this technique, with the previous things, is like, so what's Oslo then? He had like the Windows 95 version of reincarnation first. Now we're jumping into, he's got the 2.0 package deal like going on. And that begs the question, a lot of the guys don't think that this is the case, but it begs the question, okay, so he's going to be reincarnated again with his previous memories intact. Does that mean he's going to be the Oslo dog version again? Is he going to be reincarnated as a different clan? Is he going to have Oslo's memories? Is he going to have Ro's memories? Is he going to have both sets of memories? And if he does reincarnate as Oslo, Oslo, remember, is a reincarnation of Ro, who had the connection to the fairies, more specifically to Gerard. So is that going to all come to fruition? Especially if he's not Oslo anymore. What if he's the talking? Like, what if he's reincarnated as a human, a fairy, a giant, something else? If he's reincarnated in that ability to speak, then potentially he would remember as a result. Does that make sense? Like, if it's just Oslo's memories and it's not Ro's, but Oslo was a reincarnation of Ro and had that, not memories potentially, but that feeling of protection, that feeling of connection with the fairies' forest, and more specifically, once again, the kings and Gerard. So it just begs so many questions. It really does. So I don't personally like the idea of reincarnating Oslo again, because I felt like Oslo's life, like leading from Ro till now, was done properly. It was perfect. It was tragic end, and it's showing that this is war and stuff happens. Giving it the bit of people are calling in the comments the DBZ sort of treatment with the whole death doesn't really have a whole lot of meaning, bringing characters back potentially. I mean, will we see them for the rest of the series? Will they be relevant to the story again? Probably not. But it still takes away from their character if I see a baby Oslo reincarnated with his memories intact at the end of the series. I mean, it's a happy ending, sure, but it takes away from the act, in my opinion, if they're just going to bring people back, if they're going to pull this Dragon Ball Z stuff. It's not. I would have preferred that everyone stayed. And would Derriere really want to be reincarnated with her memories intact and no Monspeet there with her after all this time? That's like, so with Oslo, it's like it's cheapening his tragedy by just bringing him back to life a third time. And with Derriere, it's actually tragic because she's still going to be without Monspeet, unless he's going to go find Monspeet's body and do the same thing. I mean, so I don't really understand this whole, specifically the memories part. The reincarnation of the souls, I like the fact that he's trying to make amends in that sense, but the whole, they shouldn't do that memories intact thing. They shouldn't have put that in there, in my opinion. Now, of course, he says, the burden and all this such. Gother is trying to convince him to come to Camelot, and he's all frustrated with himself. He's like, I've already killed 2 of my fellow brethren archangels. I've slaughtered people, my brother, Elizabeth, how can anybody want me? Like, I've done all these despicable things. Should I fight the demons? Do I have even that right? And this is when Elizabeth shows up and says, Mal, we are going to Camelot. We are going to fight, and not just for the sake of fighting demons. We're here to put a stop to the Holy War. It's not about killing demons, sort of idea. And then, of course, we know that Mal shows up. So, I mean, it's not really a spoiler. He's going with the group. So, Elizabeth did convince Mal to go with them. A lot of people are thinking that Mal is still there's going to be some conflict between him and Meliodas when Meliodas wakes up. I'm under the impression the big conflict is going to be Mal's going to stand on Elizabeth's side this time against Rodesiel. And, Rodesiel is going to be the one to attack Meliodas or to attack Elizabeth or something, and Mal's going to stand in his way, not wanting to fight his brother, but finally realizing that his brother is a genocidal maniac, sort of idea. I think that's going to be the big conflict for Mal's storyline. I don't think he's going to be fighting with Meliodas. I mean, he saw what happened to him as an angel. He couldn't get with her, and then when he was a demon, he lost everything that he was, and still, at the end of the day, it was all about Meliodas. Like, he's not going to go. Third time's not a charm for Mal. He's grown up. He's recognized his faults. He realizes all the things he did, especially with the whole Gotha thing. That mucked him up really good. So, anyways, we jump over from there. We see Deanne and King and Hawk. Basically, what's going on here is they're planning to go to Camelot. We see King doing a bit of a Hellbrum look, really feeling that Elvis hairstyle. He needed to look the part, so he gets some swag going on. It looks really nice. A couple people brought up, not really suited battle attire, but it still looks, swanky look King's got going on here. He's looking really fine. Once again, I think it's a bit of a Hellbrum montage or motif thing he's got going on, and a little bit of symbolism there because it's a similar design for his shirt buttons. He's got the tail. It looks like his tuxedo or his suit has the tail, similar to Hellbrum's green shirt and all that stuff. So, and even the cabaret or whatever it's called at the front here is once again Hellbrum. So I think it's a really nice homage to his friend. And it looks really nice. I hope if they go this far in the anime, I do hope that they make it black. Like a lot of the time I see characters and then when they're in color, they're not the color I expected, or the colors are off, because everything can't be black and white, of course. But in this case, I think King really needs to have that like black tie affair look, because it looks really good right now. If they make it like a bright green or a purple or something, it's just not going to be right. Not for me anyways. What do you guys think down in the comments section down below? Now, this is where Gowther and everybody meets up. Mail is going to go with them to Camelot and everything. They're all worried. They say, Bond told us to hurry. We should hurry. And King, of course, gets his new outfit, and they ask, where's the spirit chastity fold? Deanne poses that question. And we'll see. We'll see exactly where the spirit is. Now, here's where we unfortunately see the issue with the chapter. Power scaling. We have a serious issue here. Because, for one thing, there's a translation problem. Because the original demon is fighting against Escanor, and it's looking metal. This is awesome, seeing those two just bang and the big explosions and such. Escanor brings up a good point, but the translation before it is, he says, what a pity, even you're at your peak of high noon, this is all you got. We know Escanor is not at high noon anymore. It is not high noon, and he is not at his peak. He is not in the one form. So, I don't know what the original demon is referring to, considering the fact that the original demon is made up of Chandler and Cusack, and they saw the one already in use. They should know. And another thing is that, for all we know, this one form might not be, not the one form, but this form of Escanor is based off of his, the stored energy, the stored solar energy inside of Rita right now. This could be a slightly weaker form. It's hard to say because I didn't see, Black Knight is broken, but that would also imply that Escanor doesn't need to use that anymore, but it's not stated, so it's kind of confusing. I'm not 100%, but I do know for a fact he's not in the one form. It's clearly shown he's not in the one, and he would need to be in the one to go toe-to-toe with this guy. Escanor might be a beast, and I might think he's an awesome character, and he's one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character. However, this original demon won't be beat by anything less than the one or something else, right? So, he's doing his best, and he's saying, he's mocking Escanor. Though Escanor brings up a good point, he goes, funny thing is, you still seem to have the need to block against my attacks. You're not exactly letting me hack at you. So, so Escanor's still always the prideful one, being like, funny you should say that, but if you're really so great, why do you have to block? So, good point for Escanor there. Now, Escanor's still, of course, full of bravado, and is just like, Merlin's like, we gotta hope that the others kind of reconvene with us. And so, does she know about King's awakening somehow? Because she literally says, we have to wait for King and the others, to rendezvous with us soon, to be able to manage something here. But she shouldn't know anything about King being, super strong now. So, what does she think? Think about that for a second. Before King's Awakening, Escanor and Merlin are having a tough time. What does she think Gowther, Elizabeth, Hawk, and, maybe Elizabeth, she sits on the sidelines rather than throw the football herself, but she's definitely, top-tier quarterback sort of idea in the game of shonen battle. So, I mean, is that what she's banking on? Because King and Deanne, they're not, like, these people aren't that strong compared to these two. So what does she think numbers are going to do against this thing is beyond me. I found that kind of odd that she herself wanted to, like, what did they all want to take the loss together? Like, well, if we're all going to die, we might as well die together as the 7 loser sins, you know? No, no, no. So I don't really get that. Of course, Escanor's just like, you know, we're enough for this. No big deal. And then, of course, he proves, the original sinner proves that, no, I blocked Cruel Sun, no big deal. I got my shield, yada, yada, yada. We also see that Merlin tries to pull that exterminate ray thing again. And suffice it to say, I believe it's the same thing she tried to do with Chandler, sort of idea that I said was broken and unfair and just bad writing, is the fact that, you know, she coupled her treasure with infinity, with exterminate ray, and somehow it overtakes a much more powerful one. I can surmise from this that we don't need to see her do that for the fact that she knew better than to use just a basic exterminate ray. So I'm sure that this is that ability. But the original demon pulls a Nappa and fires, you know, he's firing his laser right out of his mouth, and boom, she gets knocked back. So Merlin actually taking a knee. Because of the latest chapters, I need Merlin to get her shit kicked. Because the crap she pulled against Chandler and Cusack, I still say is wrong, is unfair, it's broken, it's not what Infinity is supposed to be able to do. The stacking spell stuff is just broken as hell. There's no reason for it. And the fact that she's not pulling the same stunt right now, why isn't she double impacting this guy? Like, so it's no, I just need Merlin to sit down. I just need her to sit down. She can't be the Rubik's Cube solver. She can't be the Game Shark to every battle. It just breaks the manga as an entirety. And I just can't have that because I love this series. So I needed her to fall. It looks great. Escanor rushes in, not paying enough attention, and gets, well, you know, what happens when you come up behind a horse and spook it? Well, this happened. Boom! You know, so Escanor getting all that, you know, he ate too fast. He's got ketchup going here somewhere, you know, because we all know Escanor don't bleed. Now, then we see, here's the deal, is that he knocks down Escanor, and Escanor looks like that was a heavy hit. Merlin's on her knees, and then the original demon notices a massive presence coming towards him, soaring towards them. And even Merlin says, is that the Spirit Spear? And this thing is massive. So when Deanne mentioned, where is the Spirit Spear? I was thinking, oh, did he merge with it or something now? Like, is that why King, like, has King merged somehow himself with the Spirit Spear so he can just call it out at his will? Like it's a super fusion? Sort of like Glitch in Reboot, for anybody who remembers that series. Glitch and Bob, they fused. And anyways, so that's all really cool. This thing looks massive, but the fact of the matter is that it's stupid strong. King looks like he's not exerting any energy, though to be fair, even though he sent this thing miles, which is a feat a lot of Taizai characters can do, the fact is he probably was sitting there, like when he was twirling his fingers and growing the tree and getting a new outfit and all that, he was probably like charging Spirit Spear constant. So this thing is a massive boost or something. It has to be, because the fact of the matter is he threw this thing or sent this thing flying towards the Sinner Demon. He blocks it, but it dents in his shield. The same thing that took a Cruel Sun from Escanor and without a scratch is denting this thing. And I'm just like, okay, what? And they're all flying towards it, and they're like, I won't let anybody else be lost sort of idea. Badass moment for King. If you're a King fan and you've been waiting for King to do this, and this isn't, it's a little broken, but at least it has the storyline to go with it that everyone constantly said, has always been saying, King, you have way more power than you are exhibiting. Start like acting like a fairy king and stuff. It's been stated since the beginning of the series, and it's constantly, like every time he gets a power boost, it doesn't matter. It's like, no, that's not enough. You're still dipping. And it's ironic because he was the one who explained how sacred treasures work and how like a drop of water in a big lake sort of idea. And it's ironic because he's the one who never utilized all the water in the lake. And now he's finally, with his wings and everything, he's finally there. He's finally at that peak. And he was supposed to be more powerful than Gloxinia, which he clearly is. What I what I'm having trouble with here, what I'm having real trouble with, is it's too much of a boost from what he was. If he's doing this damage where Escanor is getting his ass kicked, I don't know. I really don't know, guys. I said this was going to be a short review, but I'm picking apart this chapter like crazy. I really got to go. But suffice it to say, there's a power creep problem here. There's a really power creep problem because now I like King and I want King to be like really strong and OP, but he shouldn't be to this level. Like if he was doing a high diff fight with this thing and winning, I'd be okay. But the fact that he just casually, it's the same problem I had with Merlin. Not a single bead of sweat and just boom, I'm going to knock out someone with over 200,000. I'm going to bash them into a wall without any effort exhibited from your character. That isn't good. That's broken. You know, like Escanor takes the hits. That's the difference. Everyone wants to say that Escanor is broken, which he is not. He's OP, he is not broken, because he has so many limiters placed upon him in fights. It makes it fair. And we see him take hits and take damage and fall down. We see him huff and puff. Don't see it from Merlin. Not seeing it right now from King, though the fight has just started. So 2019, we will see how this all goes down. I'm curious. I don't want King to start like wrecking this guy, because this guy is supposed to be the commandment above commandments. He's supposed to be like no. We can't just have just one fairy king. I mean, like, I don't care if he's supposed to be better than Gloxinia and the second one. I think that began with a D. But not this level. Like a corrupted male with all his combination with 200,000 roughly, you know, slowly leaking mana out of every pore, just totally unstable fusion. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with it. But taking this thing on by himself, this is Bond's time to shine. This is for Bond to pull his sacred treasure and go, all right, well, here's what, you know, X number of years does in Purgatory when you get so used to Purgatory that it's nothing. You know, here's a guy who fought against the Demon King with only a pig and a short dude. You know, we want to see Bond fight this thing and give this thing a hard time. King looks epic. I like King, but we can't have this. We can't have King mopping the floor with this guy. So I hope that the original Demon lives up to his height. He lived up to his height this chapter with the trouncing of Merlin and Escanor. But we can't just have King show up and wipe the floor. We need this thing to beat them all back. We need Elizabeth to go in there and show what she's made of too. That's what we really need. So anyways, guys, I've been ranting long enough. What did you guys think of the chapter? What did you think of the review? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, it's always very much appreciated. I've been slacking on YouTube a little bit. I'm sorry. It's just that time of year. But I will be back in the new year for certain with some new content. So that being said, guys, this has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for chapter 294, the last chapter of 2018 of Nanatsu no Taizai, also called Seven Deadly Sins. Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a good Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, however you celebrate it. Happy Boxing Day. And if we don't talk to you again, have a Happy New Year's. See you next time. As always, drink responsibly.